We are going to go from this to this.
Let's go. I'm going to cut to the chase and show you what we used to strip the paint off. It's this methylated spirit. But if you want to see the process in a little more detail, then sit back and let's dive a little deeper.
Hello, I'm Marcel.
And I'm Mrs. Snakeworks. To do a good job stripping, we need some equipment.
Firstly, we need a tub to hold our stripping solution. I have this old pot. For some reason it stinks of garlic. I think it was Mrs. Snakeworks' garlic tub or something.
Did you use my old garlic tub? Oh, that must smell good.
We also need a scrubbing implement. We like to use an old toothbrush. Don't borrow your other halves or your kids, as we will be doing some nasty things with it and you wouldn't want it in your mouth afterwards. This is an old Colgate job. We also want medium stiffness on the bristles, as soft ones won't do anything and hard ones might break the miniature. We also need these, a collection of toothpicks. You only really need the one. They also don't even need to be toothpicks. Any sort of poking implement will do. Even an old drawing pin or something would probably suffice. And then we need our stripping agent. Our preferred choice is this. Methylated spirit, not spirits as everyone calls it. I'm not sure why it's purple. I think they dye it for a reason, but I don't know what that is. These ones cost about £3 and are made by Bird Brand.
They also sell it in the supermarkets, such as my local Sainsbury, but they're always a lot more expensive in there. Your best bet is a sort of DIY shop, or maybe somewhere like the Range or something like that. Although I do dislike going in the Range, it's always quite depressing. I don't know why. It's a weird environment.
Here's something interesting we fancied giving a try in this video. It's a toothbrush with a vibrating function. You just press a button and it whirs into life. We figured this would aid in the scrubbing motion later and maybe save on a little elbow grease. I guess time will tell. Have a listen to this vibrating noise. Sound quality. Was I supposed to make a vibrating noise, or was I supposed to say sound quality? Look!
Maybe you're meant to pretend to make the sound.
Oh, okay. Something else we will need is a tap with running water. I assume most of you guys have these. I like to use mine for washing my hands and brushing my teeth. And for Marcel, some shaving. Also, the colourful soap you see there belongs to Snakeworks Jr. It did used to sing when you press the top, but it's now silent. I guess the battery ran out. I think it ran out really quick because Snakeworks Jr. wouldn't bloody stop hitting it. It used to play, what was it called? Baby Shark. We are a little bit sick of that now.
We do have another one to use when that one runs out. Let me show you. How do we shut it up? How do we we just leave it.
Once we have assembled all of our equipment, like the Avengers, we can begin our stripping process. Also, I've forgotten a couple of important items here, but we'll get to those in due course. And I think that was an old TV show. Oh wait, that was Due South. The first thing we have to do before we begin the strip is break the model down into as many parts as possible. All I had to do with this one is remove the base and the backpack. Plastic miniatures, of course, are best left glued together. Superglue bonds are a lot easier to break. Also, word on the street says that putting superglued parts in the freezer overnight makes them a lot easier to break apart. Look at this old base the Marine came on. For some reason I really like the look of it. It has a blue painted base coat and yet has a yellow-green flock and grass layer on that makes it look massively garish. And I love it.
Now, fun fact, when I went to art college, some of my tutors said my work was too garish. Another word for shit. But isn't garish subjective? I might have to look into that. I think that's more of a personal decision rather than an objective one. I don't know. What do you think? Is garishness a subjective thing?
Okay, so we then decant the meths into a tub. You can see here we've had to put a bit of cardboard down to help prevent any splashes and spills from getting on the table. To be honest, we should have used a bigger bit, but this is all we had. Hopefully it'll be enough. We then drop the miniature in and wave goodbye to that old hideous paint job, which I actually quite like. Don't throw it in too hard or it'll splash back into your face. We don't want this stuff in our faces at all. It's not strictly necessary, but I like to give the miniatures a little poke and a prod when I first put them in. It probably achieves absolutely nothing, but I like to think it gets the chemicals going, gets them in the mood, as it were. All we have to do now is stick the lid on tightly so it doesn't evaporate and let the meths do its work overnight. Let's come back in the morning and see how things have progressed. Good night.
Some people like to tell you it can begin working in about 10 minutes, but I like to really let it soak in and do its magic. You can also have a sleep while it does its work. Leave it overnight.
Right, it's the next day now. Before we get busy with the elbow grease, we'll be putting on a pair of gloves. We really should have mentioned this in the equipment section at the start of the video. A little tip when buying gloves, buy a bigger pair than you need, as it makes getting them on and off a lot easier. Alright then, let's remove the lid and see what we have to work with. Any guesses on how much paint will have just melted off overnight?
The answer was very little, sadly.
Recently I was on a mission to find some parts in the garage where I came across a big box of Oldhammer goodies. My plan is to get all of these built and painted for the channel, but I have such a big backlog, I just don't know when we're going to get to them. Okay, so it's a nice easy job now. We just use a little elbow grease and using the toothbrush, give the model a good scrubbing. This stuff will splash about everywhere, so don't do it on the kitchen table or somewhere clean. Do it somewhere you can clean easily and you're not too worried about getting some splashback on. After a couple of minutes we were left with this. About 50% of the paint has come off, but the paint in the recesses is not wanting to come out. It's stuck in there tight. Also, it doesn't even look like the previous painter used primer, so God knows what sort of paint this was. Maybe enamels or something. Nasty stuff. So what we do then is just give the miniature another soak. This works really well after exposing the first layer, as it were, so the solvent can now penetrate even deeper into the dried on paint.
You only have to wait a couple of minutes here, but again I like to give it as long as possible. I usually just start doing another job in the meantime.
While we wait for the stripper to do its magic, I thought I would show you these previously stripped metal gene stealers. These are some of the original metal ones, and we're looking forward to painting these in an era-appropriate scheme. You don't see many of these ones about anymore. As Indiana Jones would say, they belong in a museum.
It belongs in a museum!
Okay, now before we get scrubbing again, here's another little technique I like to use. The toothpick prodding technique. Anywhere we have crusted on paint in a nook or cranny, we give it a little poke. This helps loosen the paint and allows the stripper to penetrate even further into those recesses. Also, we were supposed to do this before we put it back in to soak. Oh well. Anyway, after the prodding, I let it soak for another hour or so and then began our scrubbing session again. After a good poking and soaking, the paint was coming off very easily. Again, we had to be careful not to splash paint stripper everywhere. Here's the results of a good few minutes of scrubbing work. I think you will all agree this miniature has cleaned up rather nicely. Look at that nice shiny metal. There are a couple of tiny bits of paint wedged in there that I couldn't get off, but I don't think anyone's ever going to notice, and I would be happy to prime straight over those.
I think the phrase is, don't let perfect be the enemy of finished, or something like that. Don't let good be the enemy of finished. How does it go? Basically, done is better than not done. Now, if you fancy chatting phrases or anything else hobby related, then please feel free to come along and join us on our friendly Discord server, which is not behind a paywall. You can find a link to it in the description below, or one up here somewhere. We look forward to chatting to you there.
While we put a big pile of used paints away, I just want to give a massive loving shout out to all our channel members and Patreons. Dan Yallop, Lee Blackley, Donald, Dixie Wrecked, Pine Tree, Bob Zilla, Charles Marlowe, Andrew Marrington, Nick Ellingham, Briars and Bantams, Timbo, Sven V, SDK, FZ, Ford World, and our newest members, Craig McCahill and Mike Patterson. Thank you all so much for supporting us. If you want your name in lights and read out by me, Mrs. Snakeworks, then you can sign up using any of the links in the description below. We love you all.
We really do. Also, now is a good time to have a little tidy up. So let's get rid of that old bit of paper we used to cover up splashes. Fun fact, this is packing paper that comes on a big roll. It's very handy and I recommend getting some for yourself. Okay, so now what we do is wash our stripped miniature under the tap for a few seconds. This will hopefully remove any leftover stripping agent residue. If you wanted to be more thorough, you could even scrub the miniature with a toothbrush under the tap. Also, be careful you don't lose your miniature down the sink. I lost a Mark 6 Marine backpack down here once and I've still not got it back. It's probably been washed out to sea now. What we then like to do is dry the miniature off using a bit of kitchen towel or Kleenex or something. There's always a little water residue left behind, so make sure the miniature is fully dry before moving on. We didn't film it as the process was exactly the same, but we also scrubbed the backpack. Look how well it's cleaned up. It looks almost chrome-like.
Also, we expected this Chaos Marine to have a plastic backpack, not a metal one, which it does have, which seems to be quite rare. As it's rare, I think it might be worth us having a go at trying to cast some more of these up. Would you be interested in seeing a video about that? I think it would be good. Now, speaking of good, if you're enjoying this video, then please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. That means you, Robert. And remember, Mrs. Snakeworks has said that when we hit 25,000 subscribers, we're allowed to order a Reaver Titan. So please smash that subscribe button and we can hit that target ASAP. If you are enjoying the content on the channel, then please consider joining us on Patreon, link to which is in the description below or up here somewhere. Or you could even become a channel member, which is becoming all the rage these days. Again, there's a link to that in the description below. Anyway, without further ado, let's check out the results of the strip, shall we?
And here are the results of the strip. We think the Marine has scrubbed up really rather well.
It was really easy to strip the paint and the process was quick and simple, which is always a bonus.
There were a couple of areas we couldn't quite remove, but if you take a look at the miniature there, you can see they are negligible, and we would be really happy to prime it.
Now all we have to do is come up with a suitable chaos scheme to paint this guy.
Do you have any suggestions? If so, let us all know. And as always, thank you very much for watching.